I really did not think there was anything about this case that could shock me. Boy, was I ever wrong. Hi, Tony DeWitt here. I'm a Missouri appellate attorney, retired, and I bring you a fresh perspective on the law without offering any legal advice. So pull up a chair. This is what we're discussing today. Yesterday, Sergeant Bukhenik absolutely wrecked the Commonwealth's case. I don't mean he put a scratch on the bumper. I mean, all the airbags went off, the car was totaled. There's no need to have it compacted at the junkyard. It's already a piece of metal. It's no longer a functioning entity. The president should probably declare Norfolk County a disaster area after that performance. I know I've said on this channel before about the difference between a war story and a fairy tale, that, a fairy tale starts off once upon a time and a war story starts off, you're not going to believe this, but, well, I have a sort of a war story that I can tell today that sort of relates to this. As you all know, I have strabismus. It's an eye condition I was born with. I can only look with one eye at a time. So when I look with my right eye, the right eye shows up, and when I look with my left eye, the right eye goes off on a frolic and a detour of its own. It can be somewhat upsetting to people, which is why when I do these videos, I always try to look through my left eye, because my left eye is my close-up eye. But when I was a little kid, there was a kid in my class named Chuck. Now, I'm not going to mention his last name because I'm sure he grew up to be a fine gentleman. And nobody is really like they were when they're in the second and third grade. But Chuck, at the time, had a mean streak. And it's been my experience that when people have a bit of a mean streak, it's because they have somebody in their ambit that is mean to them. So I always have to think a little bit about compassion in that regard. But at any rate, Chuck used to call me eyeballs. And he called me eyeballs to make fun of the fact that I can only look with one eye at a time. At the time, it bothered me. So I talked to my grandmother about it, and she said if I let it bother me, be giving him exactly what he wanted. So I tried not to let it bother me, or at least not to let it show that it bothered me. Kids are often mean when they're kids, but as they grow up, they learn the social graces, and they learn that some things aren't funny, like making fun of people because they have a physical disability. Some folks, however, simply lack the ability to escape the pettiness of their youth. One of them, in my opinion, is Trooper Proctor. I have a grandson with autism spectrum disorder. He's a great kid. He does very well in school, but he has a harder time than most people with social interactions. You might say he has no filter, but I love to be around that young man. He is full of love, and he has such a positive attitude. So, in some respects, because he has no filter, you might expect him to make fun of my eyeballs, or at least ask questions about it. But he never has, because he's been taught from the point when he was very small to now that we respect other people. We respect them whether they have a disability that we can see or a disability that we can't see. So I was quite shocked by the video that you're about to see. I'm going to apologize for two things. First, for the length of this clip, but I believe it's necessary so that you get the full impact of what's being said here.
Is that a photograph that was sent by Trooper DeChico to the group?
According to this document, yes.
Who is depicted in that photograph?
The big story, Mr. David Yannetti, criminal defense attorney.
Do you see that person in court?
Yes, I do.
Where is he seated and what is he wearing?
He's seated right there wearing a blue tie and a dark suit, white shirt.
Thank you. We can bring the lights up, Your Honor.
Okay.
In response to, and going back to the multi-page document FF, in response to Trooper DeChico's photograph that he sent to the group, you responded to that photograph, did you not?
Yes, this document indicates so, yes.
And you responded by laughing at it, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Well, that's what it says, or that's what you did?
I don't remember.
Trooper Proctor then, former Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor, then responded, correct?
That's what it says here, yes.
And he responded to the group, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Michael Proctor then responded again. Is that right?
Yes.
He wrote, no nudes so far, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Michael Proctor responded yet again. Is that right?
That's correct.
And in reference to Mr. Yanetti's photograph, he wrote, I hate that man. I truly hate him. Correct?
That's what it says.
There's a trooper by the name of Moore, M-O-O-R-E, correct?
There is.
And he disliked Trooper Proctor's phrase, his statement, no nudes so far, correct?
That's what it says.
Did that indicate to you that Moore was disappointed that Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor, had not found naked pictures of Miss Reed as yet?
I don't know what that indicated for Mr. Moore.
And then you responded to the phrase, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone, correct?
I acknowledged that text message being sent.
You acknowledged it by liking it, correct? With a thumbs up.
I acknowledged it by responding with a thumbs up emoji.
The fact is, Trooper Proctor told you, his supervisor, in this series of text messages, that he was going through Miss Reed's phone. Is that right?
Correct.
And he also informed you, his supervisor, that he was going through her phone looking for nudes or naked pictures of her on her phone. Correct?
He did not tell me that he was going through naked pictures, for naked pictures through the phone.
He wrote, no nudes so far, right?
That is what is written, yes.
What did you think he was looking for when he wrote that phrase?
I don't know what he was looking for.
What would be a reasonable interpretation of what Michael Proctor was looking for when he wrote, no nudes so far?
I don't know.
Motorcycles, handbags, pair of shoes, or naked pictures of Miss Karen Reed?
His mission was to go through the phone to look for digital evidence that's related to the crime. The fact that he wrote no nude so far, I cannot comment on.
You cannot comment on, or you don't want to comment on?
I don't know what he was looking for in that specific time.
You certainly did nothing. You took no action to stop him from potentially looking for naked pictures of my client, correct?
That's correct.
In fact, last week you testified that in your view, Michael Proctor handled himself in this investigation with integrity. That's what you said, correct?
That's correct.
Do you stand by that testimony?
The investigation was handled with integrity and honor.
Do you stand by your testimony that Michael Proctor conducted himself during the course of this investigation with integrity?
Yes, I do.
He also called her retarded, correct?
That is what's written.
That's what's written? That's a very passive way of saying it, Sergeant. That's what's written, or that's what he wrote?
That's what he wrote.
And that's what you read.
I have no memory of reading that. I acknowledged him going through the phone on my Apple Watch. I have no memory of him writing retarded on a text message.
And you'll agree that that is one of the most vile and insensitive and incendiary terms one could use in modern society. Retarded. Correct?
That is correct.
And in fact, through your response to that vile phrase, you encouraged it because you liked it with a thumbs up. Correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you encourage that statement by Michael Proctor by liking it with a thumbs up?
I don't know if it encouraged him, but so I cannot speak to
But
that.
that's what you did.
I acknowledge the text message being sent.
I want to be clear. These text messages were sent to you by your direct report, by your direct subordinate, correct?
That's correct.
And there was even someone on that text chain who was more senior than you, Lieutenant Fanning, right?
That's correct.
Michael Proctor was both your partner and the lead investigator on this case when he wrote that, correct?
He's a subordinate, and he was the case officer.
This thread, text thread, contains communications between a subordinate, the person you call the case officer. By the way, let me ask you another question. Did you ever, during the course of the investigation in which you were a part, the sustained findings, the internal affairs investigation, did you ever review Colonel Noble's determinations about your subordinate, Michael Proctor?
Objection.
Did you review them?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
In 69 years, I've seen a lot of different things. Very few things surprise me. But my mouth dropped open when I saw this video last night as I was preparing to get ready for today. Imagine using the words that trooper used in that text message. Then imagine that you're his supervisor and you actually give him a thumbs up for those words. You may recall that in a prior video, the sergeant testified that Mr. Proctor conducted himself with integrity, and he reaffirmed that in this video. Well, I've always believed that integrity is defined as the integration of your actions with your values. To me, having integrity means that you oppose things like racism and sexism, like most good people do. You don't give people a free pass when they display those traits. You call them out. You don't let things like that hang in the air. The only way to stop that kind of behavior is to make it uncomfortable for people in polite society to engage in that behavior. So I am simply aghast at the Massachusetts State Trooper, the sergeant, liking the comment, and the lieutenant not commenting on that. How either of those two people, the lieutenant or the sergeant, have a job now, especially in view of the dismissal of Trooper Proctor, simply amazes me. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this next clip. In that first clip, the Commonwealth's case veered off the road and headed for that big tree. But with this testimony, it hit that tree square, wrapped around it, and became part and parcel of that tree. It's not a vehicle anymore, or at least not a vehicle for conviction. Watch the defense's theory of how the taillight segments got into the snow after February 3 is displayed in living color, or actually more like black and white, in this video.
Right? Pause. Can you make out, now that that's paused, can you make out what's depicted toward the top of the screen?
Yes, it appears to be a distorted image of that antique police cruiser.
Okay. And does the area next to the police cruiser appear to be empty? Some snow on the ground?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does look that way, yes.
Okay. So there's nothing next to the police cruiser, at least at this point, correct?
That's what it appears to be, yes.
Can we take a look at the timestamp on this document, or on this frame? I'd ask you to let the jurors know if you can see what the actual run time is on this.
I could see the timestamp. I don't know the runtime, what it's going to be.
It's 5:07, 10 or 12, something like that?
That's the
5:07?
timestamp, yes.
Okay.
Yes, PM.
Now, if we could just play this forward, go back to full screen. Pause. Now, how many seconds would you estimate, just in your head, just went by in real time?
Approximately 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you see something in the video now?
Yes.
What is that?
It appears to be the seized Lexus SUV.
And now let's look at the timestamp. What time is that?
5:47 p.m.
So in about, according to your testimony, in about 5 seconds, the time jumped from before the SUV was in the Sally Port to about 5:50 p.m. after the SUV had already arrived and is now situated in the Sally Port, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The time frame that we just saw earlier of about 5:35, 5:36 or so, with you and, with the tow truck driver and Michael Proctor in the video. That is not in this video. It's not captured in this video.
It did not present itself, no.
Okay, I've seen cases fall apart in trial. I saw it happen to a partner of mine. I saw it happen to a good friend who had, I thought, a pretty good case. The other side, however, always gets a vote and sometimes surprises you. Yet the Commonwealth here had all of this information before they ever started down this road. They knew that this information was out there. I think they just assumed they could gaslight a jury into conviction on the basis of Karen Reed being somewhat unlikable. I don't think that's happening. Many of you have asked if there is anything we, as citizens, can do in this case, and I think that there is. One of the things we can do is write to the governor of Massachusetts. I'll put her information here, and demand that the Massachusetts State Police, from troopers who are first day on the job all the way up to the commandant, get some training in how to deal with people and how to respect people. Maybe train them on implicit bias. Maybe train them on simple respect. I've seen most cops do a really good job of being patient and tolerant and not flying off the handle. But the conduct that we see here, even though it's not violent, is certainly inappropriate. And maybe it'd be a good idea if that commandant, that lieutenant, and that sergeant were terminated from the patrol without any possibility of reclaiming their positions. Then, if officers have to be licensed in Massachusetts, the agency that licenses them should revoke their licenses. Now, that may seem harsh. After all, they've probably served their state for several years. But again, if you're going to talk the talk, you're going to have to walk the walk. And walking the walk here means terminating people who use reprehensible language to refer to anyone, even a defendant in a criminal case, a murder case. The law protects everyone, and no one, especially not a law enforcement officer, is above the law. That's what I have for you today. I hope you found it helpful, interesting, or maybe both. If there's a subject you'd like me to discuss, please feel free to send me an email at the address above. If you like what we do, please feel free to subscribe and come on back to the beach tomorrow. I release videos every weekday, weather and work permitting. If you have the opportunity today, do a kindness for your fellow man. It makes the world a better place, one kind act at a time. And now, YouTube has some suggestions for other videos of mine that you might like.